local pastor arrested for sexual assault. Our Lee Peck is live from Mobile Police Headquarters, where he was just being questioned before being booked into Metro Jail. And Lee, these accusations are pretty disturbing.
Well, they are, Lenise. Mobile police say suspect Gregory Adams is a pastor at a church in Citronelle and Waynesboro, Mississippi. It's where investigators say he preyed on his alleged victims. Gregory, do you want to say anything to your alleged victims?
12 years old. What's the message to their families? Why do this?
Are you a pastor of the church? That's 63-year-old Adams, who initially had nothing to say as he was being escorted to a patrol car. He's being charged with 10 felony charges, including rape, sodomy, and sexual abuse of at least 4 victims. According to MPD, the alleged sexual abuse started when the victims were around 12 years old into their early 30s. MPD involved because they say the charges that he's now facing happened here in Mobile, and they possibly believe there are more victims.
Gregory Adams violated a sacred trust of this community, those that depended on him most. He preyed on and he took advantage of, but there's no level of comfort that I or anybody in this community can bring to those individuals that are victims that this crime was perpetrated against them by Mr. Adams. And again, there may be other victims out there, and so that we would hope and pray that if there are victims that are out there, that by seeing this story, that it would give them strength to come forward so we can continue to build our case. Sorry.
What was that? And I don't know if you could hear that, but that was Adams apologizing to his alleged victims before being taken and booked into Metro Jail. We also want to add that this is a multi-agency investigation. We expect more to come out as the Mobile County Sheriff's Office and AHCH are also conducting their own investigation.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to YAHAWAH, BaHaSHam, YAHAWASHI, BaHaSHam, RAWCHAA, QADASH, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Also, sincere shalom to you other brethren, you followers of the truth, you few sisters, you families, and mainly shalom to the elect. Okay, anyway, I had this video pop up. Now this guy here, his name is Dawson Denise, right? That's his channel. And I normally see him go, you know, every once in a while I'll get some, it'll pop up because he constantly going to these Christian churches, right? But this one was something, you know, because this Pastor Gregory Adams, well, I'll get to what he actually did, but he supposedly raped a some 12-year-olds on up till they were 30 something. So, as we say, when you hit about 12 years old, according to the scriptures, you're at an age of consent. Now, in this society, your mentality is not basically of a 12-year-old. But we know that when these young women hit puberty and they see somebody they like, they attach themselves to them. So I believe it was a give and take situation. I believe that he did so-called prey on them because you're looked up as a god in these churches. And this is the reason why I'm going to this, because it's the hypocrisy of Christianity and them in these churches who say you're not supposed to mess with so-called underage woman, young woman. Let me say that. You're not supposed to. I guess he had charges of sodomy too. So this man was getting down on all levels. But then he's the same guy and these other Christians that would jump up and call us a hate group when we teach nothing of the sort. As I said before, we teach according to the ancient times. If a young woman was 12 years old and she came into her flower of age, she was 12, 13, whatever, you would have that, you could get that woman, young woman, because even in school they call them young women, they don't call them girls when they get to middle school. You would get that young woman and you were bound to keep her as saith the law. But you know, if this was even instituted again, you know what Jake would do. He would be wicked. He would mess with the woman, try to commit all kind of adultery. These women could belong to other men. Now this man been doing this from the age of 12. She was 12 up into her 30s. So you had to know that she had some boyfriend or somebody else she was seeing. Now, according to ancient times, he would have done nothing wrong. They call it rape because he was, once they're underage, they're not in a consent of knowing what's going on. Now, again, the problem I even have with some of these laws, if she had sex with a 13-year-old, then it would be acceptable. Or a 14-year-old, maybe even a 15-year-old if she was 12. I think maybe 14. There would be no charges because they were both minors. So if she had sex with a 14-year-old and had sex with a 40-year-old, there's really no difference except in age. She still knew what she was doing. So she didn't know what she was doing when she was she knew what she was doing when she was with the 14-year-old, but she doesn't know when she's with the 30 or 40-year-old. The manipulating status, and we have enough with the TV and media of how that goes as well. We understand that. But anyway, I want to get on to this pastor, Matthew 7:15. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, inwardly they are ravening wolves. This man, I'm sure, didn't care if these young women had boyfriends or husbands. Well, let me just say husbands, men they were dealing with. This pastor didn't care. These pastors are sharks, man. Their ideology and their teaching teach that a young woman, they can't lay down with a young woman until she hits the consent of age, which is 17 and some months or 18 years old. Right? And then you got to understand that these women, over a period of time, was comfortable with it, but then, I'm not going to say they was comfortable with it, but they understood what was going on, and then something maybe went wrong, and they decided to just turn over the table, so to speak. But this is the hypocrisy that goes on into the Christian church, man. Let me read the statement of charges. It says, testimony given in court Tuesday alleged that an Alabama pastor raped children as young as 12. And again, we say they're not children, they're young women. Okay? And told his victims to choose who goes to heaven or hell. He chooses who goes to heaven or hell. That's just pure wicked. This man is 63 years old. Right? Gregory Renee Adams was arrested at the end of July, which just happened, and charged with 3 counts of rape, first degree, 2 counts of rape, second degree, 3 counts of sodomy in the first degree, and 2 counts of sexual abuse. So, they're going to lay it on him. Okay? According to the testimony, Adams told one of his victims if she didn't have sex with him, God would strike her down with lightning. Adams allegedly told his victims he chooses who go to heaven or hell. See, that's that power and that seat of their church, man, and the wickedness in those churches. What say all these Christians that come against Israelites? What do they say about this? We don't see one video go up on these type of videos on these Christian channels, man. Testimony alleged Adam used holy oil as lubricant to sexually assault some of his victims. So he prayed over the oil. I don't know what kind of oil it was, whether it was olive oil or black seed oil or grapeseed oil, I don't know. And so what he did is he prayed over it and used that power and authority to lust over the victims. The investigators said it took years for the victims to come forward because they feared no one would believe them. But they kept doing it from 12 years old on up to in their 30s. Also shows you the weaker vessel. All right. Let's go to 2 Timothy 3 and 5. It says, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses, and lead captives silly women, laden with sins, led with diverse lust. So we're going to go over here and see what, let's go to laden with sins. Let's go with diverse, G4164. See what it says. Of various sorts. Okay. Diversity, basically. Let's go to, which means that's a whole lot of, when you go to those churches, you get diversity of sins, man. Diversity of sins, okay? Leads to captivity, silly woman. Okay, let's see what silly woman is. G1133. It says, used contemptuously, it doesn't say very much, but when you go down, it says, occasionally, it says on diminutive, doesn't say very much. It says, occasionally, it says, okay, it says here, diminutive from a little, it says foolish woman, silly woman. And when you go to the word foolish, it goes back to nice, being nice. And this is why it said, when you look at the other translations of the Bible, it says vulnerable women, right? It says vulnerable women. Matthew 24:11, and many false prophets will arise and will lead many and will deceive many, okay? Shall rise and deceive many. So that's in these churches too, man. And I'm tripping because you got all these Christians that come against us, and you can clearly see the rape and the molestation that's been going on in these churches and continuing in these churches. This is purely sick behavior, man. And these are the churches. Get your wives, your daughters, and even your sons, family. Just get them out of that Christian church. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.